Hey, this is Decoy from DecoyNoise, and today we're covering 3 Am I the Antagonist stories, with the featured story being Am I the Antagonist for not giving a single mother part of my company? So we're going to cover 3 different Am I the Antagonist stories, read the entire post, read some top comments and the controversial comments, then we'll take it to Decoy Court where I give you my knee-jerk reaction to this situation. But let's go ahead and get to the first story right now. So OP wrote, "Alright everyone, so I've been an avid Reddit user for many years, and this sub is probably what consumes most of my time here. Never thought I would be able to make my own post, but here I am. This happened a few days ago, but I'm still unsure on whether or not I made the right call. I felt most uncertain after reading a post on here yesterday about how a guy who apparently is a freaking saint handled evicting his pregnant roommate/tenant. We discovered that story." So, about 10 years ago, I, a 33-year-old male, and a former friend/business partner of mine, a 33-year-old female, started a company. We started building this thing from the ground up, through blood, sweat, and tears. Well, minus the blood, but there were definitely tears, and after many setbacks, we finally got to an operational stage after 2 years. Thing is, even a year later, profits were low, and we were still living like college students. To keep things short, my partner fell in love, started to lose faith in the business, and decided she wanted to start a family instead. I bought her share of the company off her, which wasn't much at the time, about $50,000. But it still took me about a year to pay her off since most of my money was going right back into the company. I gotta be honest, while I eventually came to terms with it, I was originally, to put it kindly, not happy that she left. We both handled aspects of the company that the other person didn't have experience in, so I was basically swimming against the current trying to learn her aspects while trying to keep the company afloat. I was not at a significant risk of losing everything I'd worked for, and so with our partnership ending, also our friendship. No contact until last week. Fast forward to today. After many more years and tears, I finally made it, folks. I now own 55% of a company worth 9 digits. On the flip side, she called me yesterday, and apparently my ex-partner's life has taken a turn for the worst. She now has 3 kids. Not sure of the exact ages, but can't be older than 6, with one born this year. Her husband lost his job due to current events. They fought, and he abandoned ship and went to his home country. She's now a stay-at-home mom. They had little assets, and she had to move in with her mother. In a nutshell, she thought as though the company is now worth that much that she did not get a fair value when she left. Her reasoning is that the stuff we did together all those years ago laid the foundation to what it is today. This has some truth to it, but I gotta be honest here. Because of the place of entitlement she came from, I kinda blew my lid. It brought back the memories of what I went through when she left, so I basically told her that she gave up on any future value when she abandoned us, to piss off and never contact me again. I checked with my lawyers, and while she has no legal leg to stand on, guilt is starting to get the better of me, especially when I think of the old times and her children. Am I the antagonist if I stand firm on this? So normally we take it to Decoy Court, but let's go ahead and see what both sides have to say, the top comment people and the controversial comment people. So the top comment right now is saying, not the antagonist. This is like calling someone you sold your house 2 years ago and complaining that the value is now increased and you want them to pay you the difference. You could have handled it more calmly though, but you know, who's gonna blame OP for handling it the way they did? The next top comment was, not the antagonist here. You bought the shares at a value that you and she assessed that was fair at the time. Just as you wouldn't have the right to demand $50,000 back from her if the company collapsed after you brought out your partner. She does not have the right to demand more money because the company is now worth more than it was when she sold her shares. Very, very true, but yeah, let's see. The next reply was, not the antagonist. Just to add, I don't agree with those who suggest employing her. She will see it as partially her company and is likely to overstep all over the place, causing all kinds of issues. I would avoid that at all costs. If you want to help, maybe you can offer an introduction to any recruiters you use or so, but honestly, this isn't anything to do with you. Don't let her make it your problem. The next reply was, if she asked for some help from OP, things could be different, but if someone demands a mile, I wouldn't give them an inch for fear of them trying to make that mile. Which is very true. I feel like it's sad to say, but any admission of like, okay, you know what, let me help you out, is a leg for her to stand legally saying, hey, look, he gave me that money because he knew he gypped me earlier, so I'm entitled to more, and you don't want to do that. But let's go ahead and say, let's see the controversial section before I start to pass judgment. So this person says, no antagonist here. This is one of the subplots of the show Breaking Bad, where Walter White is jealous of his former friends who co-founded a company when he sold his ownership stake too early on. This woman is seeing that she made some bad choices, now she's looking for a handout when no exists. You haven't heard from her in over 6 years. You already paid her the $50K, and you kept the company afloat by stepping up when she backed out. You don't know her anything. Why don't you offer her a job if you feel bad for her? Maybe she can do something working from home and at her mother's until she has enough to get her own place again. That would be generous. In my opinion, too generous. But OP came back to say, I haven't seen the show, but LOL. This may have been the same ending as the post that inspired me to share mine. Currently, I'm still having mixed feelings about the whole ordeal. Perhaps once I'm ready to apologize for blowing my lid, I could talk to her about something like that. But the idea is, why are you going to bend over backwards for someone yelling at you for you just having a successful business? The next controversial reply being, not the antagonist, but being the antagonist is a low bar. If you want to be like the other poster and do better, then you should find a better compromise. Could you not offer her a job? She obviously had good skills or you wouldn't have set up the company with her in the first place. So surely she would have been a valuable person on the payroll. If her husband is unemployed, then he can stay at home and mind the kids. So, as always, we take the case over to Decoy Court, and I do understand where a lot of these people are coming from in the controversial section of like giving her a job, but I don't think that in that situation, if I was there and someone like just deserted me, and then, you know, if they deserted me and said, hey, look, I made a mistake, I'm out of work right now, can I come work? You know, I can do that thing, or I can learn, or take a lower position. But, you know, it kind of just came hat in hand, feeling bad and wanting to support you. That's great, that'd be a cool thing. But then when they just walked in and said, hey, you didn't give me enough money, I demand more money, you're a jerk, I can't believe you, and they're just like being very aggressive with it, it's like, okay, well, look, we're not even friends anymore, you deserted me, I don't owe you nothing, get out of here and never call me again, would be the appropriate response. I understand that OP's trying to be a nice guy and not trying to do the whole like, hey, you're a single mom with 3 kids, I'm gonna go ahead and be, the world hasn't been great to you, I'm gonna go ahead and be not great to you as well. I see where they're coming from and they want to see themselves as a good guy, but I mean, how about they take that money and just donate it to a nice charity, or maybe create something really good for society, the local community. But this whole bending the knee down to someone that's really a big jerk to you and saying, hey, you could walk all over me, you could screw me over early in the relationship and also take my $50,000, that's okay, I'm just still going to be good to you. Like, I'm not a fan of that right there. So make sure you guys are giving me your feedback about story number 1 right now, because obviously this is going to be a little bit back and forth. But let's go ahead and get to story number 2, which is, am I the antagonist for throwing my sister out of my house after she billed me? So this is going to kind of be interesting. So OP wrote, my sister is a train wreck. She needed a place to stay at, and I have a large enough home for an extra person. She has no job or income. I told her she has a few months to get her crap together and leave. I give her about $100 a week to keep my house clean so she has some cash. I gave my sister her $100 and she said I owed her more. I was confused. She said she had done other work for me. I asked her what more could she do, and she said she walks my dog in the afternoon. I walk my dog every morning and evening, but she takes him on her afternoon walks. She said the going rate for a dog walker is $25 per walk. 5 times 25 is $125 on top of the $100. Then she mentioned she put together a scrapbook of personal letters and paper. According to her and Etsy, that job was easily another $75. I told her I never gave her permission to do those things. Her argument is those jobs fell under the umbrella of keeping the house clean, and I was ripping her off, so I threw her out. The money isn't the issue. I have plenty of disposable income. I was disgusted of how she came at me. So, are they the antagonists? I have so much to say right now, but I'm going to hold my tongue because we're going to go over those top comments to see what they can sway my mind in Decoy Court. So, top comment was, not the antagonist. I would have countered them with a bill for food, rent, and utilities. I got 35,000 upvotes, but it's true. Next reply was, every time I tried to pull this crap with my dad when I was little, he would counter with that. Show her what real expenses look like. That's true. Next reply, not the antagonist, do as she did. Bill her for rent according to local housing prices, her share water, electricity, internet, groceries, etc. The next reply to that was, I do this to show her the reality of her situation, to be honest. I'd go all out, sit her down like an intervention, and have all the utility bills to hand, create a budget sheet, etc. If I was feeling particularly petty, as per the scrapbooking, I'd charge her for the financial consultation too. That's a good idea, it's funny, but honestly, I see OP just wants to wash their hand on the situation and walk away. They don't want to add extra work like this, like parenting their sister, but the next reply was, not the antagonist. Put this on r/choosing beggars. How is she actually begging? She got $100. Remember, she's living in OP's house and gets it every week, and she wants 125 more? Yep, that's called a choosing beggar, which is 100% true. She's already getting a good deal, but she's like, you know what? I need a better deal than that because I can make it up in my head. Good reality check for her, but maybe the controversial post will sway the Decoy Court right now. But the top controversial post was, whoa there. She sounds vulnerable, naive, and in need of help. You're the antagonist unless you can provide me more info. How old is she? Has she ever had a job? What led her to these circumstances? And should you try talking about this calmly? I don't agree with any of this because you're treating her like a kid when I don't think that she was, but the next reply is calling out the state of am I the antagonist of, in no universe would I be the antagonist, but am I the antagonist? Which is true, but I don't like to play into the whole, like, let's argue the meta of this subreddit. It just is what it is. The next very downvoted reply, which is, everyone sucks here. Yeah, she wasn't nice, but you threw your jobless sister on the street in the middle of a lockdown. That was a horrible thing to do. Not to mention that the way you speak about your sister seems very harsh and mean. Yeah, you are the antagonist. Okay, and a controversial reply was, yeah, this sub has gone to crap. The question is not, am I legally obligated here? It's, am I the antagonist? And throwing out your sibling out of your house after they tried to ask for more money is messed up. Just say no and tell them not to ask again. So it's good we got to see the other side of the coin, but also we're going to decoy court where we're trying to figure out who the true antagonist here. And the controversial people over here, I guess, are the defense attorneys of this story, and them saying that, like, you know, have more compassion for someone that's just dumb. Like, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's asking for more money when she's not entitled to it. Just give it to her, or, you know, teach her a lesson, or put out a spreadsheet of telling her how wrong they are. It's like, no, if you're an adult, do adult things. If someone's doing you a favor, never make it harder on themselves to do you said favor. I hate everything about the idea of, hey, let's coddle people so they never learn their lesson, and they always get used to begging with their hands out, not saying, hey, I need to grit my teeth, put my feet on the floor, and earn my way through life, because that's what it is. What are you going to do with this situation where it says free rent and $100 a week? That's a great life. And then say, okay, cool, so if you walk the dog and make a scrapbook in your spare time, I'm also going to give you an extra $300. Like, that just doesn't compute to me. That's not giving them life lessons. This is the whole teach a man to fish, give a man a fish, they eat for a day. Teach a man a fish, they eat for their lifetime. That's not teaching her how to fish. This is the idea that they already opened up the story with, my sister's a train wreck, so OP probably taking her in just enabled her, that bad behavior. So I'm going to go ahead and say that there's OP, you're not the antagonist. You're doing the right thing. You gave your sister a chance when the world is kind of hung her out to dry, put her in a bad situation. You gave her a chance, a really good chance, a free rent and $100. But yeah, no, I mean, this is just a OP tried to give her a shot. She messed it up. She has no one but to blame but herself. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Decoy Court has already decided that they're not the antagonist. The sister is the antagonist here, but maybe you guys can help me out in the comment section below for story 2 as to whether or not they're the antagonist. But let's go ahead and get to that final story of, am I the antagonist for mocking my brother for getting rejected by his dream college that I got into because he keeps tormenting me over it? Okay, so OP wrote, my brother Jake, an 18-year-old male, and I, a 17-year-old female, have the same dream college, H University. Also, in case you're confused by the ages, we're 1.5 years apart, but I skipped a grade, so we're in the same grade for nearly our entire life. Jake was way more passionate about H University than I was. He had several H merchandise clothing, and had kind of assumed he was going there. For example, in conversations, he'd say things like, once I'm at H, or after I go to H, my plan is, basically his life rested on going to H University. Jake and I got along pretty well. We'd sometimes give each other advice or study together. However, during college application season, he got super competitive once he realized I was also applying to H. He'd refuse to study together, look over each other's essays, and he'd constantly tell me to not even bother applying. Then decisions came out and we opened them at the same time. I was accepted, he was rejected. Jake had a massive panic attack, and instead of celebrating my acceptance with my family, I sat in my room all day because Jake would get furious when he saw me. Once, I even caught him trying to unlock my laptop to decline my offer, since his friend DM'd me to warn him that he had been talking about doing that. My parents obviously punished him for that, which made it so much worse. When my H sweatshirt came in, he screamed at me for showing off, when I just put it in my closet. He told me that so many people that I only got accepted because I was a girl, and that H mixed the siblings up. Honestly, I felt bad for him because I would be crushed too if I were him. Every time I tried to get him to stop, it got worse, so I just kept tolerating it. I thought it'd get better after summer once college actually started. It is not. Now he's really set that he's going to good, in my opinion, state school, not H. His anger is largely compounded by the fact that he's going to the same college that he used to kind of send other students for aiming for. My classes start soon, so I've been setting up in our study, which I share with Jake. Both of our rooms are tiny, no room to study in. So we share a study with 2 desks that face away from each other. Jake cleared out my whole desk, broke my lamp in the process. He says that I need to study in my room so he can study without distractions for his classes. We've always worn headphones. There's literally no distraction, but he just doesn't want to see me taking classes at H. I'm so effing done. I just want to be proud that I got into this college and actually learned crap without my brother screaming about me about it. Here's where I might be the antagonist. We got into an argument and I told him of course he got rejected to H since they didn't take toddlers. I've been wearing my H sweatshirt around the house constantly, which he gets angry about. He keeps bothering me, so I superglued H rejection letters in the drawer of his desk so he has to see them when he opens them. So am I the antagonist? And as always, I really want to have my reply, but let's go ahead and read the top replies and the controversial replies to see if they can sway the decoy court. So the top reply was, after reading what you did, everyone sucks here. This is escalating. Where are your parents in all this? For college-bound kids, you both need to grow up. And the next reply was, yeah, valid. I was being the antagonist. My parents don't want to get involved and think we need to settle this between ourselves. If need be, they'll separate us to our rooms and talk to us. Mom to Jake, dad to me. Staying away from each other isn't really possible when you live in the same house though. Dad usually says things like, just tolerate it if your brother's hurting right now, but we'll get better once milestone in a few months from the talk. Reasonable, they're just trying to keep the peace. Next reply was, not the antagonist. Your brother is hitting obsessive levels of jealousy. Trying to decline your offer letter? What a horrible thing to do to even think of. He deserves the rejection letters in the drawers. That's hilarious. Even though it was a little mean, he did ask for it. At this point, your parents really need to step in and tell him to calm the F down already. You didn't do anything to affect his college acceptance. You don't deserve any of the jealousy. It's 100% not your fault, and he's having an unhinged level of aggression towards you over it. It's not okay. And the next reply was, everyone sucks here. Your brother has been acting out in an extreme way. I think your parents need to get more involved in that respect. It sounds like you both still live at home. You sounded quite reasonable until the last paragraph. I get that he pushed you to this point, but gluing the rejection letters into his desk definitely solidified you as the antagonist, which I think a big theme behind DecoyNoise and Decoy Court as a whole don't start none, won't be none thing, but I mean, there are some limits to that, but let's go ahead and get to the controversial section to see what they're thinking as well, because maybe that's going to sway the decoy court. The reply is, everyone sucks here. If the H University doesn't accept toddlers, how did you get in? They got downvoted, but it's true. Next reply of, everyone sucks here. Him for obvious reasons, you for the immature response, although hard to be mature when someone is acting like that. I grew up with two sisters, one of which is only 18 months younger than me, so I get the sibling rivalry on his end, but he took it way out of line. He seems like someone you used to have a close relationship, and I doubt he's willing to throw it all away because of this. Give it time, try to talk to him, apologize to him about your response, but also, more importantly, let him know that you won't tolerate the theatrics because he won't accept that you got into his dream university, which is very true. And the reply to that was, dude tried to break into a laptop to decline her offer and mess up her future. Screams at her, breaks her stuff, and she has to apologize for just gluing stuff to his desk? Valid point. But the other reply got deleted by the user, which is kind of sad. But the next controversial reply being, I was feeling not the antagonist until the bit about gluing the rejection letters into his drawer. That makes it a solid everyone sucks here. Last controversial reply was, everyone sucks here, with your brother being primary instigator. It's understandable that he's suffering from a mortal blow to his ego, but that's kind of his fault for not having a plan B and building his entire life around one pivotal moment that didn't come to pass. Him lashing out at you at every turn is totally not cool, and your parents suck for not stepping in to help your brother constructively deal with his feelings. You suck for stooping to your brother's level and escalating the levels of bullying between you. Though it's understandable why you were pushed in that position. Too long didn't read. You and your brother both need to grow the F up, and your parents need to step in and effing parent. Why am I being downvoted for this? You can have compassion for people's emotions and situation without absolving them of responsibility for their actions. Which, in Decoy Court, I like that last part right there. Like, you can still say you're the bad guy, understand that they're the bad guy and why they're the bad guy, but you don't absolve them for being a bad guy just because you understand where they're coming from. So in the decoy court, I agree with everyone saying here. Most of the replies were, everyone sucks here because the sister's taking it bad, but let's remind ourselves that these are both teenagers. Like, they're gonna have bad reactions. There's a sibling rivalry, and the idea that OP's brother is going to these drastic levels of cruelness where they're going after their own sister and trying to get them to be rejected from his dream college because he didn't get into it, and everything is about him. He's so self-absorbed. He's definitely the antagonist in the situation because he can't see that, hey, I didn't get what I wanted, but the sister did. I can at least be happy for her, right? No. They're so absorbed in their own life that they can't see behind their own four little walls, and they're gonna start bullying the OP. I guess the true question here in Decoy Court is what OP's doing okay? The idea that they broke the lamp, the idea that, you know, they said you can't wear that sweater, and you shouldn't even apply for the thing, and then the brother trying to decline her acceptance. I am going to go out on a limb right here and say that OP painted themselves in a good light until that last paragraph. I want to know if there was more to the story earlier on that was making the brother super upset about OP. Were they saying negative things before? Were they rubbing it in earlier? Or were they genuinely being this little innocent little kid in the forest just not hurting anybody? Or were they already kind of rubbing it in the brother's face like, haha, I got into college, you're too stupid, I skipped a grade and still got in, you're a toddler, blah, blah, blah. Like, I could see them still doing it as just like, you know, friendly sibling rivalry, but I'm probably gonna go on a limb here and saying that OP's not the antagonist. Definitely the brother is, but I'm not willing to say that, you know, everyone sucks here, because I still agree with the don't start none, won't be none situation, where I don't think OP would have done this without OP constantly escalating it. But I also want to know whether or not OP was actually still kind of egging them on early on. But I mean, as we kind of just evolve DecoyNoise, let me know down in the comment section if you like this stuff. Let me know your judgments, or you like the new content. Subscribe down below with the notifications on so you can be sure to know when the one video a day I put up goes up there. They're always going to be on the same topic, 3 different stories of Emma the Antagonist, and we're only doing 1 instead of 2. But as always, if you made it this far in the video, I want to say I appreciate you hanging out with me as long as you have. You're seeing all the likes and the hearts, reminding you to also like the video, or possibly sharing it with somebody you know might like this Reddit podcast commentary thing, court, whatever we're kind of evolving into. But it's just more than anything, it's just a community of people that don't think like most Redditors, and we try to have our own commentary section here in the Decoy Koi Pond, which is the comment section. But as always, you don't got to do any of that. If you just want to sit back and relax and watch the content, go ahead and do that. Put this on autoplay and check out that next episode of DecoyNoise coming up next.